All right, so first day in my journal, March 12th. This is a Thursday, 2020. And I wrote Thursday, day one. LPS has been on break all week. We've not, but we've got a quarter break tomorrow. But before we take that break, we need to get together as a staff and ask the question, what if? What if coronavirus shuts us down? And we just spent some time in God's Word first, looking at the story of Jesus calming the storm. And I wrote these words after reading from Mark chapter 4, where we find that story, that we need to take a moment and to let Jesus calm our storm, and then take a turn to be Jesus for those whom we serve. When I got home that night, I wrote more down in this journal, and I said, as a Christian leader, it is our duty, as much as we are able to, with God's help, to calm the storm in the lives of those whom we serve. And I truly believe that change, big change like this, gives us an opportunity to do something amazing. That was day one. Friday the 13th, the day off that wasn't. Met with church staff and a few key leaders to discuss how Messiah will respond to COVID-19. Or should we call it coronavirus? I don't even know what to call it. There's talk of limiting events, of canceling and postponing. There's talk of no more than 50 people should gather. It's all so new. Later that day, met with principals from our Lutheran schools in Lincoln to discuss how we can work together to respond. We decided that Friday that we needed to wait. We didn't know enough yet on what to do exactly. But then on Saturday morning, we gathered again. And by noon, our Lutheran schools in Lincoln administrators had determined that we must close our campuses to face-to-face instruction. That was tough. Sunday morning, March 15th. I'm at church by 9 o'clock to assist in whatever way I can with our live stream. Now I get to learn to run the camera system. Been doing that every Sunday for a year now. New CDC guidelines came out today. No more than 10 should gather together. And a new word, social distancing, which means stay 6 feet away from others. It's fun to look back at this and see these things that were all so new to us back then. Monday, March 16th. Lots of different notes about how our faculty gathered together to talk and to listen and really just be together and deal with this new news that our kids are not here for a little while. We were still hoping 2 weeks, 15 days to flatten the curve. That was our hope. But we knew for sure, no matter how many days it would be, that it is more important than ever, I wrote, to lead with relationships over content. We didn't want our children to fall behind, but we also wanted to help them feel safe. The next day, Tuesday, March 17th, was a day of work in our classrooms as we prepared to continue on school as quickly as possible. That meant taking some time as teachers, individually or with partners, to prepare materials for students to pick up. I wrote down at the end of that day, which was St. Patrick's Day. Whoops, I didn't wear green. A thought for today. These times will magnify who we are and whose we are. Pretty good thought for that day. Wednesday, March 18th, it's packing day. We had lots of help from our church and childcare staff. We packed up books, we packed up Chromebooks, we changed administrative settings on the Chromebooks so they could work at home. We prepared iPads, and we put them all in donated brown paper sacks and staged them in the gym on tables that we set up and didn't know those tables wouldn't come down again for months. My thought at the end of that day of packing: we've had in mind who we are as a family of faith at Messiah. I believe these times are proving that we were right, and maybe we've been understating what God will do through us. Wow. That was the first week. We're now 1 week later, Thursday, March 19th. It's pickup day. Arrived at school at 6:30 in the morning to be ready for the first family to come by, and they were there before 7 o'clock. Lots and lots of help from staff and childcare team throughout the day. And then early afternoon, severe thunderstorms roll in. Paper bags with books and thunderstorms are not a good mix. Thankfully, all the packets were picked up by 4:30 that afternoon. We could all get home safely before the tornado warning hit that night. A thought for that day. This past week has been absolutely crazy. And at the same time, I feel like I have a new kind of space, a space in which to grow, to serve, to learn, to teach, to be. It's almost like a fish and loaves kind of thing. My daughter Leah started online classes at Lincoln Lutheran today, just a few days after this all started. Now it's Friday, March 20th. Messiah classes take a trial run on Zoom today. Still in the first week of being out. We scrambled to get Zoom ready to go, and it worked. At 9 o'clock in the morning, classes were up and running. Later that day, we decided as Lutheran Schools and Lincoln administrators, we need to give our parents an update. It's been a week. What's our plan? Where are we going? And we simply communicated to families, it is our plan to stay closed for face-to-face instruction until we know it is safe for students to return, even if that means all spring. I noticed we had a lot of Saturday meetings. We were really busy. I looked back today and noticed that I hadn't written any days or dates on the pages previous. Everything is running together. I don't even know what date it is. Monday, March 23rd. I'm trying to establish a new balance and a routine with my family. That was hard. There's so much to do. Tuesday, March 25th, 4th. It's funny, I didn't know what date it was. I had to keep checking. All the things in my office that I'm sitting at now have now been moved to my basement. I'm working from home. My first day, lots of Zoom meetings. I've even got a green screen so that I can meet from wherever I want in the world. At least I feel that way. End of the day, stomachache, chills, a bit of a fever. I think it's finally catching up. Wednesday, we're not to 15 days yet. Wednesday, March 25th. This is just 12 days in. The mayor announced today that we now have a new rule for gatherings, 10 and under, that will last through May 6th. This effectively eliminates any chance of returning to normal classrooms this school year. Thursday, the 26th of March. We've now learned of a second community spread case of COVID-19. We think about the numbers we hear that have come way down to under 50 today. It was big news on March 26th when we had a second case total in our city. Friday, March 27th, we're finally 2 weeks in. to flatten that curve. We ended our week as a full staff in a Zoom meetup. 35 of us. That was a little crazy. Apparently we weren't used to seeing that many little squares of moving faces on the screen at that time. This became a tradition for us every day at 3 o'clock. We would end our day together in Zoom in God's Word. That was my first 15 days. The curve didn't flatten.